Hey guys, it's Leo Stargazer. I'm here today with our sign-specific weekly astrological tarot reading. This is for the week of October 15th through October 21st. And this week, we don't have too much going on, but we do have one really big, beautiful, super important transit. And that is that we have a Mercury Cazimi on Friday. The Cazimi happens overnight on Thursday night, so into Friday, so it could happen for you on Thursday or Friday. Either way, by the time Friday arrives, we will be in the midst of a beautiful, really important moment for clarity. This Cazimi comes right between the two eclipses and really brings us an opportunity to shine a light on what we learned from last week's solar eclipse, so that by the time next week's lunar eclipse arrives, we are ready to be protected and to learn the lessons we need to learn and deal with the transitions that are going to happen. Whether we're ready or not, these transitions are coming, so hopefully we can lock in this week to some really important lessons. The only other focus I have this week is that we really are following the moon forward. So while this week is about the Sun and Mercury meeting in Libra, it's also about the moon moving forward towards Taurus, where we will have the lunar eclipse next Saturday. I want the tarot this week to really help us utilize this Cazimi as best as we can. This Cazimi is going to be really close to a square to Pluto. Both Mercury and the Sun will make a square to Pluto after the Cazimi. So there is this sense that the Cazimi, while being clarifying and enlightening, will also be associated with a really deep internal dive. We want to turn that focus inward and not outward, because there is potential with this square to Pluto that if we focus that energy outward, it might create some tension and some conflict. So we want to look inward so that we can deal with tension and conflict on our own terms, because this Cazimi needs to give us the agency we're going to need for next week's lunar eclipse. And then once we're through that, we will have gone through the transitions we need to. We will be in full rebirth mode. We will be really able to thrive. But we need to get our agency in check this week. We need to own ourselves this week. So hopefully the tarot and the Cazimi can help us do just that. So let's get started. And as always, we will do a reading for each sign, and the timestamps will be available in the description. So look out for those and head to your ascendant or sun sign or both. But we will get started with Aries. Hi, Aries. All right. So as I shuffle, I want us to remind ourselves about what last week's solar eclipse was. I want us to think about what that meant for you in terms of your shadows, your shadow self. Were you able to tap into that? Did the eclipse reveal some shadowy stuff to you? At least reveal part of your shadow or the importance of uniting with your shadow? Hopefully it did. If it didn't though, this week will be a really nice clarifying moment. Especially for you. So I'm really excited to let this Cazimi mean as much as it can mean for you, Aries. So we will be doing our thinking, feeling, doing spread as usual. And the card I draw in thinking for you is the Four of Swords reversed. What are you feeling this week? The Ace of Swords. Okay, swords energy right from the beginning. What are you doing this week? The Two of Wands reversed. Okay. So with Four of Swords reversed in thinking, I feel like for you, Aries, your thoughts are ready to be shared. You are thinking about stepping out this week It seems like in your thoughts, which is going to be really important this week because of this Cazimi, this Mercury Cazimi is going to be bringing a lot of, intellectual clarity. So I think getting the Four of Swords reversed in thinking is showing me that you are ready to leave your sanctuary. You are not wanting this week to keep all of your thoughts inside. This week, you really want to let your thoughts out. Let them out of your head, speak them, especially on the day of that Cazimi, or at least a couple days around that Cazimi. Really start to share what you want to share. Share your intellectual thoughts, the conclusions and the clarity you get that your brain really latches onto. The stuff you're thinking about a lot at the beginning of the week should start to be shared by the end of the week, by that time of the Cazimi, because the Four of Swords reversed is saying, share your thoughts, Aries. People need to hear them. You don't need to keep them cooped up. You don't need to keep them locked away. You need to open the vault door and share what you're thinking. Because in feeling, you got the Ace of Swords, which again hints to a lot more intellectual clarity. The Ace of Swords, though, is in feeling. And in feeling, the Ace of Swords is saying, you're going to be able to not only wield and communicate your intellectual side, your thoughts, but you are also going to be able to light yourself up emotionally. You're going to be able to wield intellect in a way that is emotionally fulfilling. That's really exciting on the week of a Cazimi because it shows that you are going to be fully engaged with Mercury as Mercury gets totally lit up by the sun. As Mercury makes its way through the sun, you are going to be fully engaged with your intellect. I think that's really important because what you're doing this week is the Two of Wands reversed. The Two of Wands reversed shows me that what you are going to be doing is also stepping out literally. So not just communicating your thoughts outwardly, not just wielding intellect to affect your emotional space or others' emotional spaces. You're also going to be stepping out literally from some kind of place of planning, some kind of place of maybe more of a think tank kind of vibe. You're going to be able to utilize all the plans you made to step out, take action outside of your home base, and you'll be able to do that in a really intellectual way. Getting two swords cards and these two reversed cards with the Four of Swords reversed and the Two of Wands reversed, it's showing me that with both of those cards reversed, there's this idea of stepping outside of your castle, outside of your sanctuary. And with the Ace of Swords beautiful right in the middle, and with the Ace of Swords in feeling, it shows me that intellectual and emotional balance is yours. You just have to share it. You have to step out, speak out, and really share it. Let this Cazimi get you to a place of emotional and intellectual balance so that you can start communicating on Friday, because you're going to need that by the time this lunar eclipse happens next week. We're right in the middle of eclipse season. This is a week where not much is happening except this beautiful bright Cazimi. So I want you to really engage your intellect this week and use that to make steps outward. Next week, you may not want to make some big moves, but this week you do. Speak out and go out. You're smart enough to do that. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Taurus. Hello, Taurus. All right, Taurus. So this week is particularly important for you because the lunar eclipse next week happens in your sign. So this time of transformation, this shifting, shadowy stuff that we're dealing with over the last couple weeks is going to be the most impactful for you starting this week certainly, but definitely by the time of next week, that eclipse, the impact of that eclipse will be felt by you in particular. I think you'll be able to control that, and I hope that this Cazimi and this tarot spread help us to really light up an understanding of you and lead us towards a bright and clear space. So let's hope. Thinking, feeling, doing. What are you thinking, Taurus? The Three of Cups. Awesome. Those are awesome thoughts. What are you feeling? The Page of Cups reversed. Let's get to doing, and then we'll go through it. What are you doing this week? The Eight of Cups. Okay, Taurus. Well, all cups. This is an emotional time. There's going to be a lot of feeling this week. I'm guessing that this Mercury Cazimi is going to be really emotionally resonant. But let's start with your thoughts. Because, again, like I said, if this is all about feeling, what are you thinking? What is Mercury helping you with? That's going to be key. So let's check it out. Okay, as I'm thinking more about this spread, as I'm looking at these cups, I'm actually really excited for you this week, Taurus. I'm really intrigued. I feel like this makes a lot of sense. So let's just get started right away. In thinking, you got the Three of Cups, showing me that in your thinking, you are absolutely on the right track, especially if your train of thought this week is revolved around celebration. If you are thinking about rewarding yourself, if you're thinking about rewarding or celebrating with a group of friends, especially celebrating something that you've just completed, then your thoughts are on the right track. The way I'm seeing it is I think that this Mercury Cazimi is going to, in the middle of these eclipses, is really going to remind you of everything you've already accomplished. Let it do that if it doesn't come supernaturally. I think it will, because the Three of Cups showed up in thinking for you, so I think you will be inclined to do that. However, if you aren't, then throughout the week, I need you to really start to think about what you can celebrate, what you have done to celebrate, especially what you've done with others. Because on the day of the Cazimi, or at least within the couple days of the Cazimi, I need you to really celebrate. I need you to be proud and to think about everything that you've accomplished already. Because in your feelings, you're a little upside down. The Page of Cups reversed in feeling shows me that while you have tons of Cups energy this week, so lots of water energy, it's going to be hard for you to emotionally accept the visions you have, the things your intuition is telling you. I think maybe the lessons that Mercury is trying to get across may not be really emotionally felt. You may be able to intellectually understand that, but I think emotionally it's going to be a challenge. It could also be that what you're hearing and what you're seeing and what you're feeling, what your intuition is telling you, is a little bit scary, maybe daunting. There's a sense here that you're trusting your thoughts over your heart. You're trusting your mind over your heart. And it's not the worst place to be right now in between the eclipse, especially because this lunar eclipse is in your sign. I think this week needs to be about getting our headspace in check, because we can use that to balance out this maybe emotional imbalance that may be coming. I will say though that in doing, you got the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is a really interesting card to get in eclipse season, because there is literally an eclipse occurring. Without getting too deep into the imagery, even though it's really important, and I highly recommend you engaging with the Eight of Cups card as much as you can this week, meaning if you have a deck, get the Eight of Cups out and look at it a lot this week, because it shows me that you understand the lessons you need to understand right now. Your intellectual approach, whether or not you can combine that appropriately with an emotional approach, your intellectual approach is guiding you in the right direction. As you move on from the solar eclipse we just had towards next week's lunar eclipse in your sign, you know which direction to head in. You know what to leave behind, what structures to move on from, what situations are finished, used up, and ready to leave behind. And even if they're not used up, you still know when the right time to leave is, where to go next. You already know. And if you don't know exactly where, you know that you have to head out. You know that you have to move forward. And so I'm really excited for you to see the Eight of Cups in doing, because it shows me that obviously your thinking's in the right place with the Three of Cups. Just make sure that you have those celebratory thoughts. Feeling maybe you're gonna be a little uncomfortable with your feelings this week. That's okay. It's eclipse season. We all are. But regardless of what you're feeling, you're going to trust yourself to move forward. And we need to desperately move forward. We aren't going to have a choice. Once this eclipse happens in Taurus, in your sign next week, the transformations are going to happen. The rebirth has occurred. You are moving forward regardless. The world certainly is. The stars certainly are. So once that transition happens and we turn that page, you know where to go. But you know this week that you've got to go now. You know when the right time is because your thoughts are in the right place. Trust your brain this week. If your emotions are overwhelming, think. I'm not too worried either way, because with the Eight of Cups, you know where to go and when to head there. Just trust that. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Gemini. Hello, Gemini. All right, so as I shuffle Gemini, let's bring ourselves back to what this solar eclipse we just had, what that felt like for you. Did that reveal any shadow archetypes? Did that help you feel balanced and connected to a more complete you? Were you able to unite those two sides together? Think about those things, because this week, I really want this Mercury Cazimi to be super enlightening. So let's use our thinking, feeling, doing spread to achieve that enlightenment. Thinking. The Nine of Pentacles. Excellent thoughts and an excellent start. What are you feeling this week? The Nine of Wands reversed. So 2 nines. What are you doing? In doing, the card I draw is the Seven of Cups reversed. Okay, Gemini, 2 nines right off the bat. And in thinking, the card was the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles in thinking shows me and reassures me that you are going to be perfectly balanced this week. You may not feel that until the day of the Cazimi, so I want you to find your power position towards the beginning of this week. You need to trust yourself. The Nine of Pentacles shows me that your thoughts are on the exact right track, which is great because this Mercury Cazimi is a lot about mental clarity. My hope, at least, was that the Cazimi could provide us with much needed mental clarity in between the eclipses. Getting the Nine of Pentacles for you, Gemini, shows me that this is exactly what you're going to experience. Now, like I said, that may not be super forthcoming because in feeling, you got the Nine of Wands reversed, showing me that there is this sense that you may be emotionally overprotective, which may block your clarity. It may block this mental clarity I'm hoping for. You may be feeling too burned out by the eclipses, maybe you're burned out by something in your life right now that you've had to really put up your defenses on. Either way, those defenses were effective, so great job. Any emotional boundaries you set up last week for that eclipse, great. I hope you tapped into some shadow archetypes, but if you didn't, that's fine too, because getting the Nine of Pentacles upright and then the Nine of Wands reversed shows me that you did the work you needed to do. It just might have been a little emotionally taxing, but that's okay, because in doing, we got the Seven of Cups reversed. The Seven of Cups reversed for you right now shows me that decision making is possible. This week, You are going to be able to make decisions. If you don't feel like you are, trust that you have to before next week's eclipse. I'm not worried about you because of the Nine of Pentacles. I think the Nine of Pentacles and thinking on the week of a Mercury Cazimi shows me that you're going to have bright, sunshiny, self-assured, self-trusting clarity, mental clarity. The Nine of Wands reversed in feeling is saying you did the right thing with your emotional boundaries, so trust those. Seven of Cups reversed, there's a decision to be made this week. It needs to be made. It'll be the right choice. Make that decision probably on the day of that Cazimi, or at least within a couple days. So probably Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Make a decision. Whatever you're indecisive about, that ends this week. Make a choice because you will need to, and should, because you should trust yourself to, with the Nine of Pentacles. Use the Nine of Pentacles energy to make the decision you need to make, because by next week, the decision will be made for you. And I want this Cazimi to light up your agency. The Nine of Pentacles, she has tons of agency. You need agency. Make a decision this week, because that decision will be made for you next week if you don't. Trust yourself. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Cancer. Hello, Cancer. Okay, Cancer. So, as I shuffle, let's bring ourselves back to this most recent solar eclipse. We are right in the middle of eclipse season this week. We have this beautiful Cazimi reprieve and this moment for enlightenment. So I really hope that this tarot spread can help us make the most of the Cazimi, especially for you. Okay, let's do it. We're going to be doing thinking, feeling, doing, starting with thinking. What are you thinking, Cancer? The Sun reversed. Okay, what are you doing? What are you feeling? If you're thinking the Sun reversed, what are you feeling? Don't get ahead of myself. Feeling is really important for you, and what you are feeling this week is the world. Okay. Awesome feelings. Then what are you doing? The Five of Wands. Wow. Well, Cancer, okay. Very dynamic spread. Lots to discuss, so let's get started. In thinking, you got the Sun reversed, so your thoughts are a little cloudy this week. You know, Mercury is going to make its way through the Sun on this Cazimi, and I was hoping it could bring a lot of mental clarity, especially in between these eclipses. It seems like you're going to need that desperately. So I'm thinking that if mental clarity is what we want by the end of the week, the beginning of the week with the Sun reversed, your goal is to uncloud your thoughts. You have to get rid of those clouds. Don't have this cloudy perspective. We need to let the sun shine, especially on Mercury. So what you're going to need to do, according to this spread, is use your feelings. Your feelings are in the exact right place because you got the world. The world and feeling shows me, Cancer, that your emotional state, your emotional space is harmonious, balanced. It has a sense of completion, meaning there is almost like a bow tied on any kind of emotional journeys you've been on this week. And potentially because of this Cazimi, your feelings are completely in line. You aren't going to be out of whack. You're not going to have these crazy emotional extremes. You're going to be completely at peace and in harmony in your emotional spaces. You got to use that, rely on that fully to clear out those clouds so that we can access the sun. The Sun reversed is still full of all of the beautiful solar archetypes that we want. You just have to clear the clouds away, and your feelings are going to do that if you rely on them, if you trust your emotional space, if you trust the intuitive messages you're receiving, if you trust the emotional aspects of this cazimi, then you'll clear the clouds. By the time the cazimi arrives, Mercury will be lit up, and you will be able to think as clearly as you're able to feel, because that is what is shown by the first two cards. In doing, there is a sense of competition, potentially healthy competition. I don't want to say conflict, because I don't think the Five of Wands in doing upright is expressing conflict. I think maybe the Five of Wands actually is hinting about how your thoughts and your feelings may be slightly at odds this week. Usually the Five hints at outward conflict or outward competition. Upright, there's an enjoyment of competition. So again, not something to be afraid of. But I think because it's the sun reversed and then the world, I think what it's showing me is that your feelings and your mind may be on slightly different pages. So we need to let this cazimi fix that imbalance. And we do that by letting the sun in. This imbalance may feel like an inner conflict to you based on the Five of Wands. It may feel like you are constantly fighting between what you're feeling and what you're thinking. It's like your intuition says one thing, but your logical brain says something else. Trust your intuition over your intellect. Trust intuition over logic. It's going to be absolutely key for you this week. You have access to the sun, just like Mercury does this week. So you'll get there as long as you trust the harmony within your emotional core. If you don't feel emotionally balanced, do everything you can to get there. I think the Five of Wands is showing me that a little engagement with that conflict or with that competitive dynamic might be helpful. Push yourself maybe emotionally, because I think you can handle it. Either way though, I'm not worried about anything I see here, because it shows me that you're going to actively engage this week in everything you need to prepare yourself for next week, because next week's eclipse is going to be way more emotional. So if you're where you are this week, as long as you can get access to the sun, you'll be good to go. Trust your emotions over everything, Cancer. That's where harmony lies for you this week. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Leo. Hello, Leo. Okay, Leo, let's start this shuffle. Let's bring ourselves back to what this solar eclipse in Libra meant for you. Were you able to find balance? I hope you were, because this week's cazimi is really exciting for you. I am so excited about this cazimi, for Leo in particular. The sun is our guiding light, and so the fact that Mercury is going to get a beautiful dose of enlightenment is going to help us. So let's hope the tarot can also help us, and let's get to our thinking, feeling, doing spread. In thinking, the card that I draw for you is the Eight of Swords. Okay? What are we feeling this week? The Three of Wands reversed. Okay. Finally, what are we doing? The Page of Pentacles reversed. Okay. Okay, well, the only thing missing from this spread is cups. We have no cups. We have swords, wands, and pentacles, but no cups. Okay. So, let's start with thinking. In thinking, we drew the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords in thinking, it shows me that we're kind of trapped in our own thoughts. It shows me that you are feeling very stuck, stalled out maybe, definitely unable to see or be as vibrant as you want to be. I think the getting the Eight of Swords here in thinking shows me that because this Mercury cazimi is so much about thinking, it happens in Libra. I think maybe Leo isn't just totally vibing with this air energy. Maybe Leo isn't really, using all these swords and all of this intellectual stuff. Maybe that's not really super freeing to you. And based on the Eight of Swords and thinking, I think it may be even trapping you. But it's trapping you inside yourself. These are false boundaries. You aren't stuck the way you think you're stuck. And hopefully the cazimi can help. I would say that we want to balance that kind of intellectual stall out with really deep emotions. Well, in feeling, you got the Three of Wands reversed. Three of Wands reversed it's a mixed bag here for you. I think on the one hand, it's showing me that you've been looking outward, you've been kind of focused on the outside, but again, in a very similar way to the Eight of Swords, the Three of Wands reversed shows me that you're still overly isolating. There's a sense to both of these cards in thinking and feeling that in your heart and in your mind this week, you are going to be prone to overly isolating, emotionally and intellectually. The way that I think you're going to be doing that is represented by the doing position, which is the Page of Pentacles reversed. The Page of Pentacles reversed is lost in the day-to-day. The Page of Pentacles reversed is lost in mundane thinking. He's not engaged with this kind of stuff. He's not super focused. His goal, which when he's upright, is to be very studious and to understand his role and his drive and his motivations. He's able to understand balance in a really specific kind of way. Based on the thinking and feeling cards, balance is going to be really hard for you to come by, but it's only going to be because you're too isolating. You are going to be probably overly focused this week on what you have to get done. Kind of like if you have something at work or something in your home life that you're trying to get accomplished, you're going to be so overly focused on that you are trapping yourself inside yourself. And I think the key here is going to be to let this cazimi, to let Mercury take off your blindfold, see what's outside of you, clear out boundaries that aren't necessary, still look to the future, but don't get so overly burdened by potentialities or by the tasks in front of you. You need to give yourself a break this week. I think what this cazimi needs to be for you is it needs to be a way for you to find out how to relax. I think once you take off your blindfold and balance your emotional and mental, balance heart and mind, I think once you're able to do that, the task that you're trying to accomplish will become much more clear. But this week, the week in between eclipses, you've got to give yourself a break. Above all, give yourself a break. Use the interpretation for the Page of Pentacles that calls for a time of rest. Another interpretation of the Page of Pentacles is that he has done so much, it's time to relax. I think seeing all of these cards it's showing me that you're being too hard on yourself. Maybe these eclipses are bringing up some really tough stuff. Well, you might be overdoing it inside. And Leo wants to shine out. So, try to get heart and mind in balance by relaxing this week as much as you can. The clarity that you will get on the day of the cazimi, if you do that, will help you understand what you're going to need to do to prepare yourself for the lunar eclipse in Taurus. Based on these cards, relaxation and not over internalizing is what you need to get from this cazimi, certainly, but also is the most important thing to keep yourself protected. Closing yourself off inside is not going to protect you. Relaxation and self-understanding is. So let's shine the way Mercury is going to shine. Let's tap into intellect. We don't love swords energy. So let's use relaxation to unite all of that so we can be lit up. Relax to get clarity this week, though. That's your goal. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Virgo. Hello, Virgo. Okay, Virgo, let's bring ourselves back to the solar eclipse that just happened in Libra. Let's remind ourselves what that felt like. I wonder if you were able to tap into your shadow side at all. I wonder if that helped you find balance. Whether it did or not, I think this Cazimi is going to be really important for you. It's a very smart Cazimi. This Mercury moving through the sun is going to be really helpful for you in particular, because I think it's going to help us find a way into the parts of our mind that we're going to need. So let's hope that this tarot spread, thinking, feeling, doing, helps us with that enlightenment and enhances the Cazimi. Let's see. Thinking, feeling, doing. Virgo, what are you thinking this week? The Five of Swords. We will move on and get to that later. What are you feeling then? If you're thinking the Five of Swords, what are you feeling? Strength. Good. Okay. Good. We can all take a breath. We can all relax. What are you doing then? The Two of Swords reversed. Well, Virgo, this week is going to be full of very conflicting emotions and thoughts. Ooh, wow. Well, let's just start off with the toughest card, which is in thinking. It's the Five of Swords. You are going to be defeatist this week. You are going to be... Your mind is going to feel defeated. You may even feel embarrassed this week. You may be embarrassed, almost ashamed of some of your thoughts this week. Or at least your mind is going to be on regret. And that's a really tough place to be, Virgo. I've talked a lot over the last few weeks, especially during Virgo season, about how your strengths were so necessary. And I think seeing the Five of Swords in thinking is showing me that we're at a turning point. Listen, we're in between eclipses. I think having thoughts of defeat or, regret or shame, maybe this is about having seen some part of your shadow and being afraid of it, or feeling maybe even defeated by what you saw, that it's so different from what you want to be, and that it is frightening. And maybe you're ashamed. And obviously that's incorrect thinking. I want to say that first of all too. I think the Five of Swords showing up here in thinking is appropriate for a time where Virgo is having to look at their shadow self. It's tough. That's tough for you to do. But I'm not worried at all ultimately because of the card you got in feeling. You got strength. While strength isn't associated with Virgo, the card at least, Virgos are very strong, but the card strength is not associated with Virgo. Getting that card here next to the Five of Swords shows me that deep down inside of you, whatever you're ashamed of, whatever you're feeling defeated about, whatever scared you about your shadow, deep down, Virgo knows how powerful and emotionally resonant balancing the heart and the mind can be. Virgo, this spread so far is showing me that you understand that the balance, the ability to emotionally accept passion and the ability to be very, almost hyper analytical, that the combination of that is essential. I think the strength card showing up and feeling is telling me that you are learning the lessons you need to learn. You're going through the process you need to go through. It doesn't mean that the thoughts aren't going to be so challenging that the, passionate balance may just be sound totally wild to you. Like it may not. You may be like, okay, well, I'm able to tame my feelings, but my mind is super negative. It's like, no, I think the negativity of the Five of Swords in thinking is balanced out and controlled by strength in feeling. So you may need to really rely on your feelings this week and trust that those feelings are going to be able to wrangle or at least tame or control your thoughts. You need it. What you're going to be doing, though, with all of this, and this is another reason why I'm not worried about you this week, even though the Five of Swords showed up, is because of what you're doing. And that's the Two of Swords reversed, showing me that you're not going to be defensive. It is showing me that there is probably a choice you need to make this week. So go ahead and make that. I think on the day of the Cazimi, you're going to have clarity. I'm thinking that this Mercury Cazimi is going to be so clarifying for you emotionally that you will understand the parts of your mind that are just focusing too much on negativity, being too pessimistic, overly analytical. The Cazimi, the sun lighting up Mercury, is really going to help you reel in some of the more negative aspects of your thoughts. I think it's also going to help you make a decision. I think it's going to help you not be defensive and closed off based on the Two of Swords reversed. I think you're going to remove your blindfold. You're going to let the sun shine onto your emotions. Use that to control your intellect, your overanalytical nature. You're going to do that to be able to be free, clear-eyed, and decisive. And you're going to need to be, because next week is another eclipse. We're in the middle of eclipse season. And the Five of Swords in thinking says, you're thinking too much. Rely on strength. Rely on her power, your power. Trust your emotional capabilities. And no matter what you do, do not close off your heart this week. Open up. Stay opened. And be decisive. Emotions over intellect. I know it's tough for you, but you can do it. Strength shows me that. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Libra. Hi, Libra. Okay, Libra. Well, this is a big week for you. We are still in Libra season. We just had a solar eclipse in your sign. And this week, we have a Mercury Cazimi also in your sign. So this was a week of balance. This is a week of balance. I want this Mercury Cazimi to light up everything I want, if it's been a difficult time for you, I want this to provide you strength and power. If you've been just absolutely loving it and doing super well, then I want this to heighten that even more. I really want this Cazimi and the spread to help you tap into you as much as we can. So let's start with thinking. The Five of Wands. Not a very Libra card. What are you feeling? The Ace of Swords. Okay. More Libra energy here. What are you doing, Libra? The Magician reversed. I was a little surprised to see him there. This is a pretty dynamic spread. I really think that what you're going to be doing is surprising. But let's start with the beginning. Thinking. What are you thinking? You're thinking Five of Wands. So you are really contemplating some kind of competition. You are definitely dealing mentally with something that has to do with groups. I think it's upright, so it's a positive. I think you're thinking, you're really actively thinking. I think your mind is really active right now. You're thinking about others. You're kind of thinking about your place in the group. You're kind of thinking about how you engage. So your thoughts are pretty active and interesting this week. They're maybe some sense of competitiveness. Keep away from thinking about conflict. Don't tilt competitive into conflict. And I don't think you will because the Five is upright. But you definitely are going to be actively thinking about groups this week. It's pretty clear. In feeling, you got the Ace of Swords. So your feelings, and maybe this is Mercury being lit up by the sun in your sign on that Cazimi, your feelings are also really intellectually resonant, meaning like your feelings are on point. You're going to be able to wield your feelings in a clear and concise way. I think it's tying in to the Five of Wands in thinking by showing me that whether you are thinking about competition or conflict or not, You are going to be clear-eyed. You are going to be emotionally intelligent this week. And if you don't feel that way, tap into the Ace of Swords energy as much as you can. This is a very you card. And I think getting it and feeling is showing me that you're balancing thoughts and feelings really, really well. That explains why I'm surprised to see the Magician reversed in doing. Magician reversed in doing shows me that even with your thoughtful, balanced, active mind and heart, your smart emotions, your intellectual, emotional core, I think the Magician reversed in doing says what you're going to be doing with that is being closed off, being ineffectual. It almost stands in contrast to the Ace of Swords upright. Especially getting that one in feeling where that just really shows me balance of heart and mind. The Magician reverse is not balanced. He is, all of the energy he's getting from his resources, from the source of his power, is stuck inside when he's reversed. He can't channel that energy. And it's showing me that you're going to be struggling to channel the energy. And maybe that's why he's here. He's here to say, in between eclipses, after this really big eclipse in your sign, the ability to wield what this Cazimi needs to show you, the ability to utilize it, might be a challenge. So if your mind and your heart are balanced and you're struggling with how to use that, I think leaning as much as you can, trusting as much as you can in your smart heart, in your emotional intelligence is going to be key. Maybe it's as simple as taking a break on the days around this Cazimi. So Thursday and Friday, a little bit Saturday, taking that time, those days, to find an outlet for that emotional intelligence. Find a direction to place your emotional intelligence. I see a ton of emotional intelligence. I see an active mind. I see an in control heart. But then I see all of that stuck inside. Find a direction, find a channel, let the Cazimi show you that, and use what you find to start to use all of that skill for a purpose, to find a direction to utilize your power. Because this eclipse coming up next week is going to be transformative and intense. You need to know how to channel all of this power. You need to understand how to do that and where to put it this week. Then you can maintain the absolutely essential, especially for Libra, agency that you're going to need. Because if you don't, the eclipse will decide for you. So decide for yourself. Get the Magician upright. Channel all that awesome stuff you've got this week. Let the Cazimi do that for you. Let the Cazimi guide you at least. And if you do that, you'll be good to go. You'll be able to wield agency for the rest of eclipse season. And whatever is transforming for you will be effective. I can't wait. I'll see you next week. All right, Scorpio. Moving on to Scorpio. Hi. Okay, so as I shuffle, let's go back to the feelings you had during the solar eclipse. What did your unconscious say to you? If you didn't get any messages, this week's Cazimi needs to inform any missed messages. Because from what I could see, the eclipse had a lot to tell Scorpio. So hopefully you listened. If you weren't able to, then this Cazimi will help you figure out how to protect yourself and understand yourself by the time of next week's eclipse. I hope the tarot spread today can also help us with that, can help us utilize this Cazimi. So let's start thinking, feeling, doing spread. What are you thinking this week, Scorpio? The Star. Great. Okay. Love that. What are you doing? I'm sorry, what are you feeling? If you're thinking the Star, what are you feeling? The Knight of Wands reversed. Okay. What are you doing then? The Seven of Swords. Wow. super dynamic spread. Oh, wow. Okay. There's a lot going on here, Scorpio. I think that a lot of this makes sense for you. I think that I'm seeing some of the effects of Mars moving in to your sign last week also. That happened on the same week as the solar eclipse in Libra. So I think there's a lot of stuff about identity and your unconscious and all of that. So let's start at the beginning though. Don't get too far ahead of ourselves. The star in thinking. Gorgeous. Your thoughts are absolutely connected to the flow. Your thoughts are absolutely where they need to be. Your mind is a flowing river of beauty and hope and understanding. And I'm thrilled for you. If you don't feel that, I would really heavily rely on this Cazimi. Tap into Mercury. The light that Mercury is going to receive from the sun, I think, is going to help you a lot. You in particular, because getting the star in thinking says, you are good to go. Your thoughts are where they need to be. Connect to the flow. If you feel blocked, let that go. Trust your thinking. The star in thinking is hopeful, it is exciting, and it's beautiful. In feeling, we got the Knight of Wands reversed. So your feelings may be a little overactive. Your feelings may be racing too fast. Your feelings may be trying to take advantage of these cool thoughts and turn them into passionate emotions, and it's just not going to be flow. That's not flow. Your emotions are going to be too fiery, they're going to be too intense, and we need this week to be intellectually stimulating. And obviously with the star in thinking, you are really open to that. So control emotions this week by trusting flow, staying even and fluid rather than super aggressive. I think that's going to be the key. In doing, though, you got the Seven of Swords. So I think what you'll be doing is you'll be trying to go at everything alone, and that might not be the best way. The Seven of Swords shows up in doing in a spread where your mind is super fluid and open to flow and intuition and feeling pretty hopeful, or thinking very hopeful thoughts. A feeling card where you are a little maybe overly fiery in your emotions. And I think that imbalance, the imbalance of the heart and the mind, is going to manifest itself in you trying to pull too many tactics. It's going to be you trying to go at everything alone. Maybe you're thinking in an innovative way, but you're relying too much on yourself, and you may be a little imbalanced this week. So the Seven of Swords is showing me that whether or not you have to rely on other people is questionable, but going at everything alone, especially if you haven't balanced out your feelings or balanced them with your mind, with this hopeful flow, if you don't let this Cazimi lead you to a sense of self-understanding where your unconscious mind and your conscious mind are in balance, if you don't let the Cazimi do that for you, what you are going alone, what you are planning on your own, what you do on your own this week, maybe a little bit fraught. It may not be super successful, or maybe it'll be successful, but the outcome won't be what you expect. So my message is, and the message of the tarot is, let this Cazimi shine a light on your intellect. Let the flow of your mind balance with the fiery passion that you always come with regardless. And before you make any huge decisions, before you take any huge action on your own, make sure your heart and mind is in balance. Or rely a little bit on others. Maybe let others in. You don't have to. If you can balance your heart and mind, you don't really need others too much. But if you can't, lean on others. Above all, though, use this Cazimi to balance your heart and mind. If you can control your wild emotions this week, you will be good to go, whether you're deciding things or doing things on your own or not. You're Scorpio. You can handle it. Trust your mind. Trust the star. Trust in hope this week, Scorpio. Above all, hope. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Sagittarius. Hello, Sagittarius. Okay, so as I start my shuffle, let's bring ourselves back to the eclipse we just had. Let's figure out, or at least remind ourselves how that felt. Let's also start to turn our minds to Mercury, to the Sun and Mercury together. I want this spread and this Cazimi to help you, Sagittarius, to really find your direction, to find a direction. Hopefully, this Cazimi can provide you with some much needed directionality. Let's hope the spread does that too, because we're going to need it. We're in the middle of eclipse season, so thinking, feeling, doing. Sagittarius, what are you thinking this week? The High Priestess reversed, okay? What are you feeling? The Page of Cups also reversed. Okay, if those are your thoughts and your feelings, then what are you doing? Justice. Wow. Well, Sagittarius, you are in for a very dynamic week. I'm really excited. I'm really interested in what you're doing. But let's start with thinking. In thinking, we got the High Priestess reversed. That shows me that in thinking, your thoughts, your mind is wanting to, and probably in desperate need of, a heavy dose of passionate, sensual thinking. Your mind knows that what's going to help you during the eclipse season the most is being free and open. The High Priestess reverse is a lot like the Empress upright. At least that's how I look at her. I think in reverse, she's opened up. She brings in a lot of her complementary elements when she's in reverse. So she's still insightful and powerful. She's still internal to a degree, but she understands the other side of that. She understands the importance of passion. She's just able to unite that. So getting her reversed in thinking is actually really beautiful for you. I think for Sagittarius in particular, this shows me that your thinking is, if it's not totally balanced, that at least there's an understanding that there's a time and a place to be internal and external. There's a time and a place to be focused on passivity and passion. So your thoughts are in a good place this week. Like I said, maybe not totally balanced, but definitely in the right direction. And I want to move to feeling, because in feeling, it's the Page of Cups. So in feeling, your emotions may be a little bit strange. You may be really surprised by what your intuition is telling you. Potentially what you saw during the eclipse, what you felt, maybe some insights you received during the solar eclipse that just happened. Maybe we're a little frightening. Maybe some of your emotions this week are gonna be a little bit daunting. Maybe a little uncomfortable, not super inspirational. I think that's where the High Priestess reversed comes in. I think dealing with some of those deeper thoughts, we know we need, or you know you need, a balance to that. You know you need emotional passion to balance out some tough thoughts or some tough insight. And you're going to do that because you got justice in doing. So if the High Priestess reversed in thoughts is saying, okay, you know that you need a yin and a yang. You know you need balance. But the Page of Cups reversed in feeling is saying that may be a little overwhelming emotionally. Well, justice in doing says you are going to take those mixed messages. You're going to take the internal and the external. You're going to take intuition and passion. You're going to take thoughts and feelings, and you are going to be perfectly balanced. The Cazimi, the Mercury Cazimi, takes place in Libra. And you got justice in doing, meaning you are going to be the essence of balance. If you cannot be afraid of your feelings, if you can use your insightful, intellectual mind to keep feelings in balance, you are going to be poised, you're going to be in control, you are going to have the agency you're going to desperately need for next week's eclipse. Because that eclipse is going to bring about transformation regardless of if we're ready or not. And if we can assert agency, which justice shows me you will be able to, so do. If we can do that, when you do that, you are going to be perfectly positioned to deal with the rest of eclipse season and move on transformed and balanced. I'm really excited for you, Sagittarius. Don't let your emotions scare you. Don't let your intuition scare you. Trust that you can balance it. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Capricorn. Hello, Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn. So, for you this week, as I shuffle, I really want you to bring your mind back to the eclipse that we just had. How did that show up for you? What did you learn? If you didn't learn anything, and if it was just a normal process, then this week I think you're going to get some intense insights. If you were able to tap into the balance of yin and yang, if you were able to tap into your shadow a little bit, I think that this week's Cazimi is going to be really enlightening. Regardless, it's going to show us what we need to see and what we're going to need for the rest of eclipse season. So let's hope the tarot and the thinking, feeling, doing spread also helps us with that. Capricorn, what are you thinking this week? The Two of Pentacles reversed. Okay. What are you feeling then? The Seven of Wands. Okay. Doing. What are you doing, Capricorn? What are you doing this week? The Emperor reversed. Okay, Capricorn. Well, I know I said that whatever this eclipse was for you, whether you tapped into your fully balanced self or not, it's showing me here that this week, this Cazimi is going to help you, one way or the other, find that balanced sense of self. However, the first card we drew was the Two of Pentacles reversed in thinking. So your thoughts are out of whack. I'm thinking it's because being right in the middle of eclipse season is not the most comfortable place for you. I think that maybe this card shows that, again, whether or not you were able to receive any messages from this eclipse, or whether you're able or not to understand where you're being guided, I think your mind is not coping super well with it. I think you may be feeling a little mentally imbalanced. That's not a shocking thing, and it's not a crazy place to be in the middle of eclipse season. I think that this Mercury Cazimi is going to help you a lot. I think based on this spread, you in particular are going to really need to rely on the vibrant, enlightened intellectualism that this Cazimi is going to provide. Also, the balance, since it's in Libra, the Cazimi's in Libra, the balance, the much needed balance. But I'm not super concerned, because even though your mind may be imbalanced, maybe you are struggling at this point in eclipse season, in your feelings, you got the Seven of Wands. So you're still actively engaged. Emotionally, you are able to deal with what you're dealing with right now just fine. So that makes me happy. Maybe the imbalance in your thoughts is actually you actively dealing with thoughts. Maybe it's actively, whether you're comfortable with it or not, actively dealing with what you're learning during this eclipse season. Because the Seven of Wands in feelings says your emotional core is engaged. If you don't feel that, start trusting it now. Start trusting that at the beginning of the week, because your emotional core is actively in this process. So trust your feelings. If your thoughts are imbalanced and you're feeling kind of like you can't have a clear thought, trust your heart. The other reason I think you should do that, I think you're going to do that, is the Emperor reversed in doing. Showing me that while you will maintain a sense of power, you will maintain an authority, you will maintain a healthy relationship with authority, very Capricorn, you are also going to be exuding and experiencing compassion and benevolence associated with that authority, associated with those boundaries this week. you are going to be feeling a sense of love. I think this emotional engagement is what's providing that compassion. I think that your imbalanced mind is going to be completely balanced by this Mercury cazimi. So I'm not worried about you. Come Friday, you are going to be balanced in your mind. You'll still be engaged in your emotions, and you will be authoritative and passionate. You will be able to deal with authority in a benevolent, compassionate way. To put it more simply, because you are so actively engaged in this process, or because you will be once this cazimi happens, if you aren't already, you should be, any boundaries, any authoritative action you take, or any response to authoritative action is going to be also imbued with that emotional engagement. So I'm not worried about Capricorn this week. I'm not worried if you feel mentally imbalanced at the beginning, because emotional engagement is your guide. The Mercury cazimi will clear up mental. It will clear up intellectual. You will be emotionally engaged, and then you'll be able to be comfortable, balanced, passionate, and intellectual. You'll be able to have healthy, flexible boundaries, and you will be prepared for any transformation that next week's eclipse will bring. You'll have the agency you need. I'm so excited. Have a great week. See you next time. Okay, moving on to Aquarius. Hello, Aquarius. All right, so as I start my shuffle and as I'm shuffling, let's bring ourselves back to this solar eclipse we just had. Let's try to tap into anything we learned about how to stay balanced and protected. And then let's start to focus on this Mercury cazimi in Libra this week. Let's start to think about how balance and intellect and vibrancy can help you the most, Aquarius. Thinking, feeling, doing spread. What are you thinking with all of that in mind? The Ace of Swords reversed. Okay. What are you feeling then? Judgment reversed. Okay, those are your thoughts and feelings. What are you doing this week? The Nine of Cups reversed. Well, Aquarius, I have to say, this week might be a little complex. This week has a lot of interesting dynamics. So let's go through it step by step, though. We are in this together. Let's figure this out. It's not as daunting as I'm making it seem. It's actually pretty clear. It's just very dynamic. So in thinking, we got the Ace of Swords reversed. The Ace of Swords reversed for you in thinking is showing that your thoughts are going to be unwieldy, especially at the start of the week. I'm hoping if we can open up that this Mercury cazimi will completely upright the Ace of Swords for you, and you'll be able to wield your intellect authoritatively for good. I know you'll want to. But right now, the beginning of the week, your thoughts are unwieldy. That's just how it is. And that's okay. In the middle of eclipse season, a lot of people's thoughts are unwieldy. Your feelings, though, you're feeling judgment reversed. You are having a tough time, maybe with these unwieldy thoughts. You're having a tough time accepting how you are feeling. You're having a tough time accepting the transformation and the transitions that are coming from these eclipses. Based on these thinking and feeling cards, the Mercury cazimi at the end of the week is going to be absolutely critical for you. The way, though, that you are responding to these thoughts and feelings, and maybe what hopefully the Mercury cazimi can help you avoid, is what these cards say you'll be doing. In doing, you got the Nine of Cups reversed. You are going to be trying to balance out this lack of acceptance, these wild thoughts, you're going to be trying to balance that out by really being super overly indulgent in everything this week. In all of your actions, you're going to be overdoing it big time, especially if you can't tap into this Cazimi energy and really give yourself this intellectual boost. Because with unwieldy thoughts, without accepting our emotions, you are just going to be basically spending money, spending resources, spending your time doing something that is just pointless. You're going to be really overdoing it. And that's not you. You are really needed at this time, Aquarius. Your independence and your commitment to the group is so essential. These cards really show a strange sense of selfishness, a strange, selfish streak based on, of course, misunderstandings, based on a lack of acceptance. All things that aren't very Aquarius. So for you in particular this week, this Mercury Cazimi needs to light you up inside. You need to do some meditation this week. You need to balance your thoughts. You need to get control of your thoughts by accepting your emotions and by staying balanced in your actions. Don't act based on your thoughts. Don't act based on your feelings or your lack of accepting your feelings. Act once you feel that your thoughts and feelings are accepted and able to be wielded. In balance. Once you get a sense of balance, once this Cazimi arrives, I want you to engage as much as you can with it. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I need you to think about Mercury and the Sun. Think about them in union. Make a commitment to yourself that your unique perspective needs to be accepted. I think that the Ace of Swords reversed, Judgment reversed, and Thoughts and Feelings are showing me Aquarius not being true to Aquarius. And that falseness is totally understandable in the middle of eclipse season, first of all, but it's also leading you to the Nine of Cups reversed. You are not acting in the way that you want to. So if your thoughts and feelings feel strange, trust them. Don't deny them. Lean into them. And they'll help you make the right choice. They'll help you stay protected and have agency and authority and not waste too much of who you are. They'll help you do that to deal with whatever transformation next week's eclipse is going to bring. You'll have what you need as long as you accept who you are first. Let that Cazimi in. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Pisces. Hello, Pisces. All right, Pisces. So let's get into the shuffle. Let's get to this thinking, feeling, doing spread. I want us to start thinking about what that solar eclipse meant for you in Libra. What intuitive stuff did you tap into? And what messages and attitudes are you bringing to protect yourself for the rest of eclipse season? How is this Cazimi going to show up for you? What enlightenment is it going to provide? Let's hope the tarot spread helps us with that. Thinking, feeling, doing. What are you thinking this week, Pisces? The Lovers reversed. Okay. What are you doing then? Sorry, what are you feeling then? If you're thinking the Lovers reversed, what are you feeling? Ace of Wands. Okay. The picture's starting to form. What are you doing then? If you're thinking the Lovers, feeling the Ace of Wands, what are you doing? The Three of Wands. Excellent. All right, Pisces. So there is a lot of passion and fire energy showing up here. There's a lot of interesting stuff. So let's just get started. In thinking, you got the Lovers reversed. So those are tough thoughts. I think you may be overthinking a relationship right now. You may be overthinking a partnership. You may be feeling like you're being really logical and pragmatic and analytical. Maybe the eclipse showed you some kind of insight that confused you. Regardless, the Lovers reversed in thinking says you are questioning your partnerships on an intellectual level. And in the middle of eclipse season, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you need to. I think I wouldn't overanalyze those partnerships right now. After the eclipses, after next week's eclipse in particular, you will be in the place that you are and you'll have to deal with it then. So I think maybe being a little analytical and pragmatic about relationships is not the worst place to be. So that's okay, just don't overdo anything. And I don't think you will, because in feeling, you got the Ace of Wands, which means that your feelings are full of passion and energy and vibrancy. I think this Mercury Cazimi is going to be a lot about the sun's energy. I think that's beautiful. I think the Ace of Wands shows me you are wielding passion in a way that maybe you weren't expecting. We don't have a ton of water energy here. And so, I don't know, maybe this is a compatible situation for you right now. I mean, fire and water is not compatible, but maybe because this is eclipse season, bringing in a little bit of both is helpful. I think maybe a little fire energy is what you need right now. The spread certainly thinks so. Your thoughts are maybe a little overthinking relationships, a little overthinking, bringing pragmatism to passion a little too much. Your feelings are completely balancing that out. Your feelings are full of passion and vibrancy. I love the Ace of Wands for you in feeling. It shows me you can wield what you need to wield from this eclipse season. In doing, you got the Three of Wands, which shows me that if you're overthinking and then you're super passionate in feeling, you are finding a perfect balance of that to be perceptive, to be aware, to be on the lookout, to be clear-eyed. There's where Mercury's coming in for you this week. It's in what you're doing. You are letting the sun's energy shine on your intellect and light up your passion to where from a place of perspective, you are actively engaged in paying attention to and being vigilant and aware of everything that's coming up. So you're using your thoughts and your feelings to give yourself a perspective on potentiality. Meaning, you are the essence of agency as we move through eclipse season. And there's no better place to be. I trust Pisces this week. Trust yourself too. Trust your passionate authority. Trust that emotional awareness. The perspective you get from that is going to be absolutely crucial for you to stay clear-eyed and aware of and perceptive enough to deal with the transformations coming with the next eclipse. Pisces in the middle of eclipse season, while yes, you might be having some tough thoughts about relationships, the two Wands cards here say trust your emotions, trust what you see when you look out on your life. And trust yourself to bring all of that into a place of control and agency and preparedness. To bring all of that to the outside world to help yourself and help all of us get through the rest of eclipse season. Trust the Ace of Wands. Trust fire energy, even if it feels strange. And you'll clear up any of this stuff with your relationships. You'll know because you've got clear eagle eyes. The sun's helping you, Mercury's helping you, the Ace of Wands is your tool. Use it. I'll see you next week. Okay. Wow, well, after all of those spreads, I can definitely say that we are kind of all on a different journey this week. This Cazimi is going to show up for each of us in a very specific way. The only through line that I saw really is that intellectual awareness is going to be the key to getting the agency we're going to need for the rest of eclipse season. Agency is the most important element for the next week and a half. And this Cazimi is promising to bring just that. From each spread, there is a different sense, but certainly a sense that intellectual awareness is absolutely foundationally important, but will be provided by the Cazimi. All of us have a different journey this week. These eclipses and this Cazimi are going to show up differently for each of us. But as long as we go through what we need to go through to find self-trust and to turn that into agency, we will be protected for the rest of eclipse season. We'll be able to deal with transformation. And on the other side, we can all come together and thrive. I really hope we do what we need to do. I really hope we let Mercury and the Sun and Libra teach us and be our guide this week. Our guide to ourselves. If we can find and trust ourselves this week, we'll have everything we need and more to deal with what the rest of eclipse season has in store. So let's do it together with the Sun and with Mercury. Have an awesome week. Thank you guys so much. You are all wonderful, and I'm sending you all of my love. I will see you next week.